When people mention gravity, many viewers immediately think of the scenes that realistically recreate the sensation of floating in space, a masterpiece honored with numerous awards for its visual effects and sound design. However, few people know that director Alfonso Cuarón's original idea was driven by a desire to tell a profound story about faith, life, and the inner strength that helps people overcome the abysses of life. There are no aliens or monsters threatening human civilization. The progression of gravity is deeply empathetic towards souls who are lost in real life. The film follows a female astronaut named Ryan Stone, who has abandoned her life on Earth to escape into the endless void. After a horrific collision leaves her as the sole survivor, she is forced to learn how to face her fears and gradually find a reason to keep going. So what is it that makes Gravity both a deeply personal work and a representation of humanity's relentless drive to move forward? In today's video, let's explore together the allure of Gravity, a journey that celebrates the human instinct for survival amidst the vastness of space. At the heart of Gravity is the life-or-death struggle of astronaut Ryan Stone after the Explorer shuttle collides with space debris caused by the Russians accidentally shooting down a satellite. The debris destroys the shuttle and the Hubble telescope, causing most of the crew to lose their lives. Ryan is thrown out of the shuttle, but is fortunately rescued by Commander Matt Kowalski. After that, they move together to the ISS using Matt's personal jetpack, hoping to use one of the station's 2 Soyuz capsules to return to Earth. As they approach the ISS, Ryan and Matt discover that the first Soyuz capsule has already been used by the crew there to escape. The second Soyuz capsule has been severely damaged. Matt suggests using it to reach the Chinese Tiangong space station, where there is a Shenzhou spacecraft to continue their mission. While both are trying to reach the station with their fuel and oxygen nearly depleted, the tether between them suddenly snaps after getting caught on a solar panel. They can only hold on to each other by gripping the ends of the tether, but Ryan's leg has become entangled in the parachute ports of the spacecraft. The tether isn't strong enough to pull them both back, so Matt decides to sacrifice himself and drifts off into space. Ryan manages to board the Soyuz, trying to contact Mission Control, the ground control center, in order to fulfill Matt's last wish to survive. With the loss of his mentor, Ryan is forced to continue on his own. From this point on, the film focuses on how she overcomes harsh obstacles, as well as the unexpected help that allows her to confront her deepest fears. This is the transformative journey of a person scarred by the past, swept up in a series of events that force her to confront her former self, ultimately emerging as a stronger and more mature version of herself. In the science fiction genre exploring space, we've encountered many characters who go through similar development. Cooper in Interstellar chooses to venture into a black hole in search of a solution to save Earth's dying future. Or Jake Sully, a former Marine hired as a spy in Avatar, who finds his purpose in life after immersing himself in the world of Pandora, redeeming himself and becoming a member of the Gnostics tribe. However, while the backgrounds and missions of those other heroes are often tied to grand cosmic issues or supernatural, fantastical worlds, Ryan Stone's struggle is much more grounded. She is placed in a precarious position, caught between Earth, familiar yet painful. On the other side is the peaceful yet deadly void. That's why Gravity feels more like an effort to recover from trauma than the start of an expedition. This sense of relatability makes it easier for audience to relate to her. Before we find out what happens next, let's take a closer look at why both main characters are on board the Explorer. From there, we can understand the important decisions each person makes for their own journey. Ryan Stone is a talented medical researcher. The flight with the Explorer crew, mission STS-157, is her first time venturing into space. In contrast, this is the final flight for Commander Matt Kowalski. Each is carrying out their tasks. Ryan is maintaining the Hubble telescope, and Matt is testing a new flying device. These tasks reflect each person's experience, reveal their personalities, and why they became astronauts. These factors are in two quietest moments in first 37 minutes, extremely chaotic and terrifying. Before the incident, Ryan is shown upgrading hardware on the Hubble telescope. She rarely speaks, focused on her work and only speaking to mission control when needed. Meanwhile, Matt is comfortably flying around, making small talk to lighten the mood and admiring the beauty of Earth from afar. Both of them are moving, but Ryan seems almost anchored in place, while Matt is completely in control of his surroundings. When the warning of the approaching debris cloud comes in, Ryan tries to make repairs even though Matt already told her to return to the shuttle. Then the impact knocks Ryan out of control. She panics and becomes disoriented, only able to calm down after receiving instructions. And then he rescues her, guiding her to the ISS in hopes of finding a way back to Earth. The next quiet moment shows the audience the simmering inner struggle within Ryan. While the two are talking, Ryan shares that her daughter suddenly passed away after a freak accident. She receives the tragic news while driving, and since then, she has never stopped moving. Ryan keeps throwing herself into new challenges, as if she's trying to fill the void and forget about Matt. The fact that she completed NASA training in just 6 months not only shows her capability, but also proves her resilience in escaping the turmoil back home at Lake Zurich to venture into the void where she wouldn't be disturbed. Matt, on the other hand, has a completely different background. He got divorced after discovering that his wife was having an affair. He spends most of his time on the edge of Earth's orbit. The endless void, though dangerous, is what sparks his curiosity and desire to explore. Matt is thrilled by the million-dollar view of the 4.5-billion-year-old planet, and he dreams of breaking the record for most spacewalks held by Russian astronaut Anatoly Solovyev. That's also why Matt chose to drift off into the void, a noble decision, but also a truly heartbreaking one. From that moment on, Ryan became the sole survivor aboard the Explorer STS-157. She would have to return to Earth alone, facing a series of obstacles waiting ahead. Ryan successfully enters the ISS station. She takes off her suit, which is almost out of oxygen, and lets herself float weightlessly. The image of Ryan curled up with the tether resembling an umbilical cord creates a symbolic and fetal-like form, marking the moment of her rebirth. But Ryan is still not ready to let go. She fumbles and moves aimlessly, trying to follow the remaining instructions left by previous astronauts to take control of the Soyuz spacecraft systems in order to rescue Matt. In their last communication, Matt instructed Ryan on how to use the Soyuz to fly to the Tiangong station, but she admitted that she always failed the landing simulation every time she tried to land. She hates the suffocating, hopeless feeling of being forced to stop, as if she can't handle another mental breakdown. That's why she keeps moving, even if it's aimless and isolated. What she does next might just be feeling guilty after having to let others sacrifice themselves for her, because a series of accidents forced her to narrowly escape death. The fire breaking out on the ISS forced her to quickly climb into the Soyuz. The process of detaching the spacecraft from the station also failed because it got tangled in the parachute cords, and she had to rush outside to untangle it. She almost lost her life as the debris came crashing in again, even more violently. When she was finally able to pilot the Soyuz toward Tiangong, the ship that carried her hope of survival, it ran out of fuel. Ryan had failed. She fell into panic and was about to give up everything. In a final attempt to contact mission control, Ryan hears an audio recording of an Inuit man playing with his dogs. We can interpret this detail in many different ways. An indigenous people living in harmony with the harsh cold, a community that still retains a bit of wild instinct, residing in the mysterious far north. They remind Ryan of her home, Earth. From the beginning of the film, she is surrounded by many images and great scientific inventions of humanity, spaceships, spacesuits, repair tools. She made full use of the power from these resources, but still couldn't complete her mission. There was still something missing, something powerful enough to give her the leverage she needed. When Ryan decides to turn off the oxygen system on the ship and surrender to fate, she experiences a hallucination, sees Matt again, and he shows her how to operate the soft landing system to propel the ship toward Tiangong. This spiritual element had been subtly foreshadowed earlier by the image of Saint Christopher that was stuck onto the Soyuz spacecraft's navigation device. He is the patron saint of travelers. This subtle detail quietly emphasizes Matt's guiding role throughout the film. The two contrasting events involving the Inuk and Matt's spirit, between reality and illusion, create a convincing turning point that helps Ryan rise up again. They complement each other and represent products of the human mind. It's the intersection between science and religion, which helps build human civilization and creates a wealth of knowledge to enrich the world of emotions. This combination is also reflected in the family photos attached to the Explorer and the ISS, symbolizing kinship and the beautiful memories of the peace and comfort of home that astronauts always carry with them. In Interstellar, the love for his daughter is a force that transcends space and time, helping Cooper save the future. In Avatar, Mother Nature Iwa is the entity that unites the Nausicaa people to fight for their home planet Pandora against the invasion. As for Gravity, if Ryan hadn't accidentally heard the call of the Inuk man, she would have forgotten how beautiful her home was before she lost her daughter. And if Matt's spirit hadn't come back to remind Ryan to set foot on the ground and truly start living, losing Matt would have haunted her forever. At the final stage, Ryan's plan is clear and direct, but she has to act decisively. She will have to activate the Soyuz's soft landing system to push it closer to Tiangong, use a fire extinguisher as a personal thruster to reach the station, and climb into the Shenzhou spacecraft before it enters, now falling into the atmosphere. This will be the last ride. The success rate of this plan is still uncertain. There are countless other variables that Ryan has to face. The fire extinguisher could run out. She might miss grabbing the station's hatch, and even if she manages to get inside, the spacecraft could still catch fire from friction with the atmosphere. There isn't a single physics formula that can guarantee safety in such an unpredictable environment as outer space. However, Ryan's mindset when he returned was unchangeable. Facing her past, Ryan talks to herself as if speaking to Matt, asking him to send her love to her daughter. She is no longer trapped in her pain, and it's this acceptance of reality that gives weight to Ryan's leap forward. All or nothing. She would rather take her chances with the dangers ahead. Even if this plan goes off course, an ending as free as Matt's wouldn't be so bad. Alongside the signal from St. Christopher on the Soyuz, imagery relating to divine protection also appears in the Buddha statue inside the Shenzhou spacecraft. The Shenzhou spacecraft plunges into the atmosphere and lands on a lake. Ryan removes the bulky Soko spacesuit that was weighing her down, swims to shore, stands up, and walks away, beginning a new chapter in her life. This is yet another metaphor for the evolutionary process of life moving from water to land, and it also perfectly pairs with the symbol of rebirth in the second act. Ryan says thank you, laughing as she collapses, as if the earth itself is welcoming her fragile body. In the moment when Ryan stands up, the camera angle looks up at her, placing the character in a position of agency and highlighting her as a heroine. Ryan has proven that her choice was the right one. In the end, nothing is more worthwhile than the journey to find your way back home. Director Alfonso Cuarón considers Gravity to be the pinnacle of his ambitions in filmmaking technology. But it was also a grueling process of learning by doing, making him feel like the film was a poor investment of his time, and that he himself was being controlled by technology. Nevertheless, the director is very proud of this work. The film not only helped him affirm his directing talent through a series of prestigious awards, but also set new standards for the use of 3D technology and CGI in filmmaking. The original idea for Gravity was not actually a film about space. In an interview on the DP30, the Oral History of Hollywood channel, director Alfonso shared that he wanted to write about people overcoming hardship in a streamlined script, with internal struggles expressed metaphorically rather than through dialogue. After many hours of discussion with his son, who is also his co-writer, Jonas Cuarón, the two decided to set the story in outer space. Space stations and spacesuits serve as protective shields, but they also create a sense of confinement. Meanwhile, the debris represents the ever-present adversity constantly closing in. After finishing the script, every scene in the film was first created as a 3D animated storyboard, a process that took 2.5 years. In this version, every character movement, camera position, and lighting setup was calculated with absolute precision. Next, with the guidance of several astronauts, the team developed a special device called the Lightbox to realistically recreate a zero-gravity environment. The filming process took place inside this cube, which was just over 6 meters high and 3 meters wide. This was far from an ideal environment for actors to focus on their performances. Actress Sandra Bullock had to undergo intensive training to keep up with the director's demanding instructions and to get used to the equipment around her. The process required numerous tests, adjustments, and retakes because the final cut was very different from what was actually filmed. The visual effects team constantly had to make adjustments from scratch so that the scenes would match the acting and sound. This was an extraordinary effort to create a film that has been described as a revolution, proving that technology is anything but dry when placed in the hands of true artists. Gravity's producer, David Heyman, shared in a behind-the-scenes clip, "This film wasn't made to showcase the power of technology, but to push technology forward so it could keep up with the vision and message the film wanted to convey." This spirit of always moving forward is present both in Ryan Stone's story and in the creators behind the camera. That's why Gravity deserves to be seen in theaters at least once, so we can fully experience its cutting-edge visual language and appreciate the tireless innovation of true filmmakers, those who always preserve the original beauty of cinema.